And we're back. Let's see if we can get this working. Sorry, team. Technicalities. Let's see if we can get this going. This is... Oh no, what is happening? Hi, dolls. We're just waiting for this to work. It's being a nightmare. Anyway, hope you're well. Today is my mother's birthday, and we've had a few people around social distancing, and we're getting it all sorted. It's very exciting, actually. We've had cake, social distanced cake. There's Ben, darling. Oh my God, it's working, I think. Oh, I'm waiting for Ben to stop. Show me, Ben. Stop. Yay!
How complicated was that?
That was, of course, only you, Ben, would it be complicated for.
I know, everybody else on the planet would just join.
Everybody. How are you, friend?
I'm very good. I've got heart palpitations at this precise moment because I was trying to do it on... Well, because I was trying to get in. And it kept saying you'd ended the video and, anyway. It's very clear. I'm doing this on my phone, which is not ideal. And not the plan at all. But anyway, here I am.
No. I'm wearing this
Happy birthday, Trace.
Yes. Happy birthday, Mom.
Happy birthday, Tracy. Does anybody still wear a hat?
No.
Maybe you should get another one made. Does anyone still wear a mask?
Does anyone still wear a mask? Good plan. Yeah. Little background. Me and Ben first met in Wolverhampton, where it was your first pantomime, wasn't it, Ben?
It's my first one for Kudos, yes.
First one for Kudos. And who was in that production?
Who was in that production? It was the Crankies. It was Nikki Evans, lovely Nikki Evans. It was Neighbours Stefan Dennis. My sister was Nathan Kiley. Nick Greenshields played the Prince.
Yeah.
Danielle York was Cinderella. I'm digging back through my brain.
It was.
Yeah, it's a great show. It was really good fun. And
it really was.
Pete Houston-Reid. Pete Reid was in the ensemble. It was one of his first jobs, and now he's in Hamilton and all sorts of shows. He's very, very grand, very successful.
Right then, Ben, darling, shall we jump straight in?
You go for it.
Ben, what was the first show you ever saw in the West End?
42nd Street at Drury Lane, the original one, not the last one.
Wow.
And I know I'm that old. And I sat in what was then called the balcony. It probably won't be called that when it's open. And do you know how much it was? £3.
£3.
Pounds.
Oh,
yeah, that was my first show. My dad had worked in New York and came back having seen this show, and he'd never really been to the theatre much, but he loved it and bought us tickets, and we went to see it. And then the second one I saw was Singing in the Rain at the London Palladium with Tommy Steele.
I mean, any little musical.
And the third was a pantomime at the Palladium with, get this cast, it was Babes in the Wood.
Yeah.
And it was was it Cannon and Ball? Yeah, Cannon and Ball, Rod Hull and Emu, Barbara Windsor, John Inman, Marty Webb, Cheryl Baker, Peter Howitt, who was in Bread, Derek Griffiths, and Nicholas Smith from Are You Being Served. It was like the last one they did before those years when they didn't do them again, and then Kudos brought them back a few years ago.
Now that is a lineup.
That's a lineup. It's about 1987, something like that. Yeah.
Oh gosh. And Ben, what was the first role you ever did at school, in amateur productions? What was your first role?
I can't remember what it was called. It was in a school thing called Capelia, the ballet, but it was like a musical, and I was the boyfriend.
Yeah. I was the boy.
I was the male lead. And yeah. And
can you remember any of your lines?
No, not a single thing. I mean, I probably did like, you know, one of the three wise kings in the nativity before then or something.
Was it?
But my first sort of proper part in an Amdram show was in Mame. And I wasn't the nephew. I got the rubbish part of the great nephew at the end. He only had about 10 lines. And I do remember those lines. Hey, Mom, hey, Dad, look at all the wonderful stuff Addie Mame gave me. The trouble with you, Mom, is you got to live, live, live. most poor sons of bitches are starving to death. Life is a banquet, and most poor sons of bitches are starving to death. And when I worked on Maine last year with the Tracy Bennett Maine, in the read-through, they didn't have the kids, and they asked me to read that part. And I was like, boom, 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 boom. It was like full circle. It was hysterical.
Full circle. And
I remembered all the lines.
What? Of course you did. Professional as I. What was your first Broadway show that you ever saw?
It was a show called Jerome Robbins Broadway. So it was a celebration of Jerome Robbins. I'm sorry if this is making people wonky because I'm moving it. It's on my phone. Jerome Robbins Broadway, which was a celebration of the choreographer Jerome Robbins. So there was a Fiddler on the Roof section, a West Side Story section, Gypsy, High Button Shoes, Funny Thing Happened on the Way to the Forum, all the things that he'd choreographed, and it was a celebration of his career.
Wow.
That was the first one I saw.
And what was your favourite time in a Broadway theatre?
Bernadette Peters in Hello Dolly. I didn't even have to breathe. And can I just show you? I'm just going to take a sip of my drink.
Oh my goodness. I hope there's a pair of those, not just one.
There's only one because I went to the Broadway flea market and they just had one. So I was like, I bought it. It's about anything I could afford because everything's with like Bette Midler's earrings for like, $8,000 and things like that. And
I mean,
so I ended up with a $2 glass.
Happy as Larry. So Ben, you have had researching you today. That sounds so strange being your friend of researching you. You have done so much, and what I've done, if you don't mind,
because I'm old. That's right. I'm trying to get this glare off my forehead. It's awful. We've got a skylight. There's a skylight, so it's got terrible glare. I'm going to sit like this.
You should have wore a cap down.
I'm not that shiny.
What I've done, I haven't forgot anything, but I've just handpicked the ones I think will have the best stories. So please don't shout.
Okay.
So let's start with, there's no chronological order because it's me. I want to start with, you were in a UK touring production of Disney's Beauty and the Beast. And what part did you play?
I was Lumiere, the candlestick with the bad accent.
And I want to know, my question about this particular show is, how did you cope not being able to use your hands?
Oh, it was awful. It was awful. So I had little flasks that I could get water from, so I didn't have to keep asking people for water. For some reason, they asked me why. They were Dora the Explorer flasks. They're bright pink, so I could always see them. And there was a certain shelf that I could go to and go, but I had 2 clocks during my time in Beauty and the Beast, 2 Cogsworth, Ashley Knight and Stephen McGlynn. And they were my everything. They really were. Because the bottom line is, I'm not going to go into too much detail, but if you've got an itchy bum and you've got no hands, that's all I'm saying. So you have to become good mates, and they were wonderful.
For those who don't know who haven't seen Beauty and the Beast on tour, basically, Lumiere is a candlestick, as you know from the movie, and he has flames that come out of his hands, like his arms. So Ben would not be able to do anything because he had his hands covered. That's what we're on about.
For the whole time, and they put because you can guarantee as soon as you can't use your hands, you've got an itch or something. So they actually put I asked them, and they put like a row of sequins around the thing, because then if I had an itch, I could do that, and the sequins would scratch my nose for me.
I love that.
Oh, that's ridiculous.
And you also did Joseph on tour, and you played alternate Joseph.
I was a brother. I was Dan, that well-known brother. And then twice a week, I squeezed my lily white body into a loincloth.
Oh God, how glorious! Would you say that was your first big role as Joseph?
Was it my first big role? Oh God, I can't remember. Yeah. I
just said not big. I mean,
yes,
main.
Sort of. I mean, I'd done. By that point, I'd done Grease. in the West End. But I was Eugene, and that wasn't a huge role. And I covered Rogers. I used to play that a lot. Yeah, so Joseph was sort of the first leading role, I guess. Twice a week, Tuesday and Thursday matinee. 3 times on a Saturday. Come on.
And how did you find it? Did you find it? Because I find that some people really enjoy being the main and really love taking the time to really form a character and enjoy it. But some people get a little bit intimidated because it's a lot of maintenance and recovery. How did you feel about playing a main role, such as Joseph?
In some ways, it can be easier because you've got. This sounds a bit over the top, but you've sort of got a journey through the show. Whereas when you're doing ensemble stuff, you're sort of dipping in and out, and it becomes much more. I don't know. You're playing lots of different characters, so in a way, it can be easier to play a leader role. I'm not comparing like that to something like I'm not going to say like Evan Hansen is an easy role to play. Do you know what I mean? It depends on the role, of course. But it's your eye is on the prize the whole way through. If you're playing a lead, then you're on all the time, you're busy, and the show goes much quicker, and you're focused, and you're straight through. When you're doing, like when I did Chitty, the whole show, because we dipped in and out of the show, of course, when one is on stage, one is 100% professional at all times. But actually, the main goal was what was going on backstage, because that's what kept what happened on stage fresh, because we were supporting very much supporting players, so that all so I mean, of course, yeah, I'd rather play a bigger part than a small part because it's more interesting. Although, having said that, it's quite nice sometimes if you've just got a couple of scenes and I did a season up in Pitlochry.
Just to add the colour.
If you do, I did this season up in Pitlochry in Scotland, and I was in 4 plays, and some you had a big part in, some you had a small part in, or whatever. And I did a Chorus of Disapproval, the Alan Ayckbourn play, and it became known as a Corrie of Disapproval because I was off stage so much I could watch an episode of Coronation Street between entrances. I used to on at the beginning and end of Act 1, and the beginning and end of Act 2, and I could watch 2 episodes of Coronation Street in that time. So it became known. So that I loved because I was like, oh, great, 2 episodes of Corrie tonight, do a little play, take a bow, good night, drink in the bar bed.
So, Ben, you are a West End Wendy. So was your first West End show that you performed in, was that Dame Edna's review show?
It was,
yes.
It was called, I've actually cheated on my CV. Don't tell anyone.
I won't.
It was actually called New Edna, the Spectacle. And at the time, Tony Blair had just sort of formed New Labour. So it was a kind of a joke on that. I have to say on my CV now, it says Dame Edna, the Spectacle, because I think people know what that is. They know what New Edna is. But yes, that was my first West End role, and my first, sadly, West End flop.
And for people who dream of being in the West End, what was your first West experience like?
Oh, I was so excited. I mean, it was. I used to wake up early at 7:30 and be excited that I had a matinee and things. It was heavenly, and it was a really good learning curve. And I sort of wish it had come a little bit later because it was not a success at all under any circumstance. We played to less than 100 people a night in a 900-seater. It was really a massive flop for Barry Humphries. However, he then went to America, and he'd never cracked America. And because he hadn't had this, it was just a different time. At the time, Mrs. Merton, Lily Savage, they were massive. Edna was a little bit old hat. It was the late 90s. Yeah. He then went to America, played a very small theatre in San Francisco, and but subsequently built up this whole career in America, ending up on Broadway and winning a Tony. And I think if he hadn't had that failure in the West End, that wouldn't have happened. So, swings and roundabouts. But he never, ever let the show go. Even on I remember we were closing in the West End, and we were brought in early because he wanted to make a change on the last day. He never, ever, ever stopped working to try and get the show right. So from that point of view, it was amazing.
And
And to
then
work with a legend like that, to observe them, watch them, stand in the. I'm always in the wings. And
absolutely
I'm not in the theatre to sit in a dressing room. You stand in the wings, you watch and you learn, um, and he was amazing. And even with 90 people in a 900-seater, he would work that crowd into a frenzy, and they'd all be up on their feet waving gladiola at the end of the night.
perfect.
I think
And
it's a motto for life.
it is. And was your next West End part at West End show Greece?
Yes, I don't know. I think so. Yes. I've got a
And what was
terrible memory for things like this. Terrible. Yes, it was. Yes.
I could completely make up your life story, and you go, "Did I do
I just
that?"
go, yes, I do. I can never remember years or timelines or anything, but yes, no, it was. Yes, and I did Greece at Cambridge after Dame Edna.
And how was that being in such? Was it? Was you? Did you? What cast were you? You second cast, third cast?
Oh, 200th, loads.
Two.
It had
And what was it
done
like?
well. It had done like 3 years at the Dominion, and then it moved to the Cambridge, and I think I was the last. I closed that as well. I was the last cast that went into the Cambridge. Oh yeah, I can close a multi. I closed Chitty as well. I can close multi-million pounds. um, yeah, it was great, and I'd never done that takeover thing before, and that was
Yeah.
interesting because I think we had 2 weeks rehearsal, and I played Eugene, which he doesn't do a huge amount, but you have this sort of pressure to money, and there was the scene in it, those magic changes, and all the boys used to come out of the shower and what have you, and there was a bit that Eugene used to walk in and then sort of do a funny dance to make people laugh, for which there was no choreography. So you just had to kind of that instinct and do what was going to be funny for you. So that was really, really, really good experience. And those shows, you get told, you come on, you stand at that point, you say that line, you leave. You get directed. It's acting by numbers so that it always stays the same. But that's its own skill. You then make that happen. Make that creative for you.
And during Greece, what would you say was the funniest thing that happened, either backstage, in that in the audience, on stage? What was one of the funniest things that you can remember?
A couple of things. So I remember the curtain going out one night, and there was a bride and groom in the box, and their wedding sort of party was to come and see Greece. So bride and groom were in the box, and everybody, there were the bridesmaids all in the dresses, the bridesmaids, mother of the bride, hat, the whole of the stalls, hysterical. Then and they were along and singing, hysterical.
It was Fergie.
We used to that production started with Sandy and Danny singing like a little love, and then it used to go, and we always used to walk forward in a V with Rizzo right at the front of the point, and the screen used to go out, and we'd walk forward going, I take my problems and I see them, but the lights used to go down right at the end, just before the curtain went out, and came the fateful night that the curtain got stuck. It wasn't a curtain; it was a piece. It was a piece of scenery. So we all just kept walking, and one by one, just kind of walked straight into this. And then, of course, then it went out, and there were people crying with laughter. I mean, it was hysterical. So yeah, and I remember one night Rizzo's mic went. I was on for Roger, and her mic went down, and she had to come on and sing "Worst Things I Could Do" with her microphone.
Oh my gosh! How next week was that? Chitty Chitty Bang Bang. Ben, hello. Hold
Oh
on.
no, what's happened?
Hold on, stay there.
Hear you now. Oh, I'm coming back.
Okay, hold on.
I'm...
Hold on. I can hear you. I can't see you. There we go.
I'm back in the room. I didn't know what happened. I have full service, full signal, full everything.
Darling, don't you worry. And sorry, and what's your next West End show? Then Chitty Chitty Bang Bang.
Yeah, I did a of something. Have I gone again?
No, darling, you're still
I did
there,
a
but
very
you just
short run. Very. I did a little show in London, and my hilarious. These things happen to me. Michael Barrymore was doing it in London and had it pulled, and 2 weeks became available at the Wyndham's Theatre. So we went in and did 2 weeks at the Wyndham's Theatre with a show about a 30s star called Jessie Matthews. So I did that, but then yes, Chitty was the next one, and I did that for 18 months. Chitty.
and be obviously a big spectacle that Chitty Chitty Bang Bang was. What was your happiest moment during that show?
It was probably one of the happiest companies that I've ever worked with. It was brilliant. We had, I cannot tell you the fun we had. And a lot of that was Biggins, who played the Baron, because we just would have just the most fun, and the most incredible people came to see it. And we did things like, dressing up the dressing rooms at Christmas, and Cilla Black came to judge them. We did Easter eggs. Joan Collins came to judge them. And we used to do themed Sunday warm-ups, which got more and more and more and more outrageous. I remember doing a Snow White and the Seven Dwarfs. It was like, I don't know, Disney or whatever the theme was. And we built a Wendy house over a trapdoor. And then we all came up through the trapdoor. So out of this tiny little Wendy house, 7 dwarves and Snow White, and our dresser, Naomi, was at the back of the stalls. She made a horse, like a Bernie Clifton, with the false legs, and rode the horse down the centre of the auditorium at the Palladium. And that was warm up. We just had the most fun.
Yes.
And we had really brilliant people in it, like Lionel Blair. Through the time I was in, Lionel Blair, James Donovan, Brian Connolly, Gary Wilmot, dear Stephen Gately, Alvin Starr. These people kind of came in and came out. So it was hard work because we were always rehearsing.
Yeah.
Never for a new child actor or new children or whatever. But it was great. It was really good fun. And to work at the Palladium is an honour.
It is. And did the car always behave?
No, it did not. Sometimes she'd go off on a little journey that you weren't quite expecting. But yeah, no. By the time I joined, I think they had a lot of problems in the first 6 months, and I did the last year and a half, and it calmed down. But it's live theatre; anything can happen.
And then it closed.
Yeah, and then it closed, and then we got our notice because I joined.
So before we go on to Panta, I want to talk about Lacage. When you did Lacage, were you a fan of the show before? And if so, what was it like being a part of such a iconic Jerry Herman musical? And I think that what you've told me, that they were the original costumes from the Palladium? No.
Yeah, we're the original Palladium costumes.
Yeah.
In a very small production, I did it in Frankfurt in Germany for 6 months. So we only had, I think, let me think, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. We had 6 we had 6 Cagels, not 100. I liked the show. It wasn't like a massive. It wasn't like a dream job or anything. But it was great, and it was really good fun. And actually, one of the positive things about lockdown has been that us Cagels have all got back in touch, and we have regular Zoom meetings. And one of our Cagels is Tapeli Dorgu, who went on to go into Corrie. It was her very, very first job.
No.
She played Kelly and Corrie in the Knicker Factory. Yeah. So there's 5 of us that have been kind of keeping in touch, and we all lived together. It was brilliant fun. I mean, you know, we just got dumped in Germany and did La Cage aux Folles. And so yeah, it was the first time I'd done a professional Jerry Herman musical, and he is my favourite. So that was exciting to be a part of that. I did get my shoes stuck in the stage one night. I couldn't. We started to sing "We Are What We Are," and then Alba has the big meltdown, and then he goes into "I Am What I Am," but my stiletto shoe had gone through the stage, and my foot was stuck. Like it was a boot or something. I couldn't take it off. So he had to sing "I Am What I Am," and I had to be at the back because my foot was stuck in the stage. I turned around. I managed to kind of get on my heel and spin around, so I was just sort of facing the back, you know, and he was right at the front. So I was probably just to the audience like a silhouette. But of course, everybody's in the wings, hysterical, pointing and laughing, and I'm really aware that he's doing his really big emotional number. And also I was thinking, oh my God, I hope he doesn't think I've done this on purpose. And, you know, but my foot had gone right through the stage. I couldn't, other than sort of getting on my hands and knees and undoing the shoe and lifting my foot, which I thought would be more distracting. I just thought I was just going to have to stay. So I remember that.
And would you say that obviously that you as like a well-established dame within Kudos, and you've done lots of Kudos productions, being Ugly Sister, and you won a pantomime award for your times.
Come on. It's the only thing I've ever won.
With the lovely Neil. Would you say that
Neil.
He's a lovely man. Would you say that La Cage taught you how to do your makeup? So when it came to that, obviously, when you play Ugly, obviously it's a lot more characteresque. But did La Cage help you that transition from boy to drag queen?
No, because I'm terrible at makeup. It was so beautifully put, that question, and I just kind of destroyed it. No, because I'm pretty bad at makeup. And Richard Morby, who did our wigs and makeup for La Cage aux Folles, who is a legend, 20 years later, it's 20 years later, still every time he sees me says, "Have you learnt to blend yet?" And the answer to that is no. So La Cage, the whole point of La Cage was they were supposed to, at first, not to be able to work out whether you were a boy or a girl. That was the whole point. It was supposed to be, the makeup was supposed to be so exquisite. I was like a clown apart. I mean, I'd spooned it on. So when I came to start doing dame makeup, actually I was quite relieved because I wasn't supposed to be pretty. So I could spoon it on. And also because I'm a bit lazy, I don't like, and a bit tight, I don't like doing it twice. It costs twice as much. So the first show, I really spoon it on in the hope that it'll last all day. So although the makeup is not dissimilar, I feel much more comfortable doing the dame one because it doesn't have to be perfect. And if you've got I don't know how people do it because I'm left-handed, and so one side is always brilliant and the other side always looks like a cat-handed. So anyway,
I can completely relate. But you've done many venues as a dame, as an Ugly Sister. Would you say that because you're playing Baddie, are all the audiences for pantomime in different regions, do they react the same to pantomime? Are some more reserved, are some more outgoing, are some more
reserved? I think it's the same really as if you're touring a musical or something. You know, you go to Wolverhampton and they're up for a good night and they'll be much more responsive. I mean, not across the board, but, you know, generally speaking. Whereas somewhere like High Wycombe, although they're absolutely going for it and enjoying it and doing all the things, it still has that slight reserved feel about it. And that would be the same anywhere. It's usually the further north you go, the rowdier people get. So, you know, once you get to Newcastle and Liverpool and Blackpool and what have you. But then even in Scotland, you've got like Aberdeen is very different to Edinburgh or Glasgow. You know, Glasgow and Aberdeen are much more kind of up for it than the Edinburgh audiences. So it is regional. Bristol audiences, where I'm from, of course, are amazing.
Are the best. if you could sum up your pantomime experience in one story, one moment, whether it be backstage chatting to the lovely Linda Bellingham when she dresses as a fairy, or with the Crankies, or with Neil, what would you say? One moment you were like, oh, I just love this art form.
Do you know what? It happens every year, and I get a moment, and I always try and find the space. I love it when somebody's doing, the audience is roaring laughter. It could be like the 12 Days of Christmas or something. They're doing a front cloth scene, and the curtain's in, and behind, the crew are building the next magical set. And you get that view that an audience member never gets of people in their jeans and, you know, pushing on a kitchen set, and you've got the audience at the front, and you're stood there in God knows what, you know, looking like gold, especially if it's the second show and the makeup's smudged.
With the wig.
Yeah. Saturday night wig. Come on, spray, that'll last another hour. So that's that moment, I think, for me, when you've got that full house. They don't know what's going to come once the curtain goes out, and yeah, I love that. And also what I really love is you know, something might happen in the world, and something really serious has happened, and you're all stood in the wings and you're talking about it, going, you know, I mean, I'm just not sure that that's the way that the country should be really dealing with this. But talking about that is like a happy villager, a fairy, an ugly sister, and Cinderella, you know, and you're having this really in-depth conversation about some political thing. And then you think, look at us. If an alien landed now, what would they think?
Exactly. And I think that moment that you've captured is the definition, I would say, of just the theatre. It's all the excitement at the front, and then people slogging the scenery behind. That is a perfect definition.
Well, I mean, you know, this is a sort of a bittersweet story, but I actually love it. A couple of years ago, and you were there actually, my grandmother passed away. She was 102, and it wasn't unexpected. And she was amazing, and it was all, you know, it was all at the right time and everything else. But my mum phoned me to tell me that, you know, that she'd passed, and I said, "Oh my God, I can't believe it. I'm gonna have to go. I need to put my bra on." And I had a show because they just called beginner. They'd called the 5, and I had to go on and do the show. And I was stood there in my makeup, and that was what I said to my mum. "I'm so sorry that Grandma's died, but I'm going to have to go because I need to put my bra on." And that's showbiz.
And Scott Bird,
she'd have loved that as well.
From Hampton.
Yeah, my grandma would have loved that as well.
And Ben, you have done your own show on Broadway at 54 Below.
I love you say on Broadway in New York. I would say I think you're building it up.
To me, it's on Broadway. And you have 2 lovely albums. I love the title of the first one, and There Was Music. Is that obviously a play on what I think from Music Man?
It is, yeah. Till There Was You from the Music Man is my favourite song, and so I picked that. I didn't know. I was trying to decide what to call the album, and then I was practicing that, which is on the album, and the middle bit goes, "And there was music," and I thought, you know, without going too deep, all through my life, and there was music. You know, everything that's happened, and there was music. Also, that just seemed like the right title.
I think it's a beautiful title. And then you've got your second album that's just come out, which is Ben Stock Sings Noel Coward. And you know this. Stop the presses!
That's what it says on the tin.
Literally, Ben Stock sings, that's like a couple then, Noel Coward.
Yeah, it's going to be a whole series.
Literally. And I said to you that my favourite song in the first album was Don't Push Your Door on the Stage, which is Worthington, which is obviously Noel Coward. And then from you, this is what I love about being in your companies, because you're so knowledgeable, and you have such your taste in music is so vast, and you have such a well-rounded knowledge and experience of theatre. I love that you introduce me to new things. I knew who Noel Coward was, obviously, But this song, I was like, oh, I love that song. And then you showed me a CD, and I now listen to that CD and go, oh, that's why I like that, because it's like this. And now on your album, I love that album. I love the Noel Coward album because I love Noel Coward.
Oh,
I love you. But I wish I could remember it. How bad is this? I have done research, Ben. This isn't thrown together.
I love you. Look at your research.
What is, I can't remember the song with the three, is it three dames? Three ladies?
Three theatrical dames.
That is a song.
It's a brilliant song, and it was put into now I can't remember. It was put into a review and ended up getting cut, so it was never introduced until much later in like a gala night of his stuff. And it's about three different theatrical dames, and one's a bit more common, one's a bit more posh, and one's your sort of your Judi Dench, and yeah, and I have a vision of three particular people as I sing it. Three particular theatrical days.
Who they are?
You can ask me who they are. So the first one is Judi Dench. The second one is Dame Barbara Windsor.
Yes.
And the opening line of the second verse is, I rented for years in pavilions on piers. And she used to take her one-woman music hall show to piers and things. So I always think of Barbara. And the last one is Penelope Keith, Dame Penelope Keith, because it's a little more about the legitimacy of the theatre. I'm a huge fan of all three, so it's my little treat to them all.
Beautiful. Ben, you have worked with some, I would say, proper divas. Sophie Louise Dan in Gay's the Word. Linda Bellingham in Panto, Dame Edna, Gokwan, Tracy Bennett in Mame, and Harriet Thorpe in Mame. What, if you could, it's hard this is, I'm trying to get this question correct. Out of all those people, what's one story that you can tell us that is one of your favourite stories about all those people?
About all those people? Oh my goodness. That's
so you
too wide a question.
Let me explain
let me just...
So, all those people, pick one of those people, tell me a story about them that nobody else would really know, but that you can tell me and won't get in trouble for.
Okay, so I'll tell the one about Wolverhampton's or Birmingham's own Nikki Evans. If she's watching, she'll kill me for this. And it used to literally, anybody who knows Nikki, X Factor's Nikki Evans, she has like a God-given voice. It is from the angels. It's from somewhere else. It's like Whitney Houston is back. I mean, it's an incredible voice. And she will not mind me saying this. Elegant, she ain't elegant. And she was the fairy godmother. I painted with Nikki twice. She was a fairy godmother. She had this great big sort of meringue. Year we did it. And what time it was. And because it would go, ladies and gentlemen, this is your Act 1 beginner's call. And then you get 1, 2, 3. Oh, well, I better not say the word. Oh, naughty word. And there was a little radiator outside Nikki's dressing room. And she used to catch her dress on it every single time she left the room. Every time. So it'd be, ladies and gentlemen, this is your Act 2 beginner's call. 1, 2, 3. Oh, bollocks. Because she'd ripped her dress again. And I used to love it, literally. And we did the pantomime for 10 weeks, I think. 2 shows a day. So that's long. 10 Act 1s, 10 Act 2s, 20 times a week. She'd rip her dress and she went out the door. There are loads of stories. You always know when the fabulous Leslie Joseph is around before a show, because as she walks towards the dressing room, you hear her go, Ma! And she's doing her warm-up. So you know she's coming. Before, and then she'll knock on the door and say, it's me. And you think, I've known it's me. I know it's you because I've heard you do it 3 times on the way here.
Oh, lovely Leslie Joseph. Okay, Ben. Ben, I have a time machine and 2 tickets to see any opening night of any show. What do we see?
I hate this question. Okay.
Why?
Because there's 3. So
Okay.
I can only get one.
You can have 3.
One. Okay, if I had to have one, it would be Hello Dolly with Carol Channing. It would be that.
And your next one would be?
Angela Lansbury in Mame.
Oh, yeah. And the third?
Is the one everybody says, Ethel Merman and Gypsy.
Okay. That's a...
Were you not expecting that?
No, I was expecting maybe, obviously, because you're a big fan of Bernadette, maybe Bernadette Into the Woods. Or it's hard.
But I've seen the
Yeah.
DVD of that, so I wouldn't waste my time, Journey. I'd just go downstairs and get the DVD out.
Journey. If you could play, if I could grant you a wish, and you could play any musical theatre role, age or gender not apparent, what would you like to play?
The Witch in Into the Woods.
Perfect. Okay, then let's do a quick fire round. Are you ready, Ben?
Yes, I'm ready.
Thank you. Hot or cold?
Cold.
Walk or run?
Walk.
Dance or sing?
Sing.
Give or receive?
Give.
Meat or veg?
Meat.
Night in or night out?
Oh, night in.
Tea or coffee?
I'll say coffee. Oh, it just depends on the time of the day.
Tea or coffee? Play or musical?
Play.
Really? Oh, I'm surprised. Lily Savage or RuPaul?
Oh, Lily Savage. Absolutely.
Cats
Lily
or
Savage.
Cats or dogs?
Dogs.
Hugs.
Hugs.
Day or night?
Night.
Stephen Sondheim or Andrew Lloyd Webber?
Stephen Sondheim. Didn't wait there, did I?
No, darling. And so I'm very trepidatious to ask you, Bernadette Peters or Patti LuPone?
Bernadette Peters.
I knew you did. Anyway, what a waste of an interview.
I like a consonant. I like a consonant in my sense.
And Ben, you are such a lovely human. I am so glad that you are in my life, and you are a gift.
Ditto.
You give so much back, and I think that people should all go and buy your album, go and support Ben, follow him on his Instagram.
I need to eat.
Follow him on his Twitter. He's showbiz personified. If showbiz was a perfume, Ben Stock would reek of it. And the last question to you, my friends, Ben, what is the name of your autobiography?
I once carried Vera Lynn's handbag.
And that is the end of
Need I
the
say
Stars
more?
with the lovely Ben Stock. Ben, you are a joy as always. Thank you so much.
Thank you. I'm sorry about all my lack of technical ability.
Don't you worry, Ben. Right, love you. Bye.
Angel and a star. Thank you. Bye.
Bye.